affections pale and cold. She laid by the reservoir in her casket alone.
What's up, everyone? This is Rikk, and you are watching The Pumpkin Patch. Today, I have a very special guest on with me. I am interviewing my friend Boneghazi of the band Deadsled Funeral Company, who just released their debut EP, Casket Tapes. What's up, man? How you doing?
Woo. Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. This quarantine has been, kind of interesting, but to say the
Absolutely.
least. But
Yeah.
I'm super stoked that you guys were able to make this release happen. I know that you had been really stoked for it for a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a long time coming, but finally got it out and did the damn thing. So very relieved.
Hell yeah. So I was gonna ask, what was the, so you had said that this was your sort of your brainchild project. What was the
Mhm.
catalyst for you beginning this project?
So mainly it started off with the career of like being in bands and playing local shows and
Mhm.
all of that, you really come into it as like I came into it as being like a bassist for a post-hardcore band
Okay.
and just kind of picking up gigs here and there. But finally I was just like, I want to do my own thing because I love performing live, but there's just it just wasn't enough for me. So I kind of had to, get more into the process of, creating my own thing
Hmm.
and just kind of, taking it from there to where no one can really tell me what to do and all that. So that's where it started. And I just really fell in love with writing songs,
Nice. Yeah, I know how that goes. I had my experience in sort of doing some bands where eventually I was like, "Hey, I have these ideas, but they're not going to work out for this band. Let's try and
Right.
do something out on my own."
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so specifically, I mean, you said that you love playing shows, and I've seen pictures and videos of your guys' performances. Can you tell me what sort of inspired, or I guess let me reel that back a second. Can you tell me what inspired the name, and then following that the aesthetic and the live show?
Oh yeah, totally. So the name actually comes from one time I was working at this haunted house because I'm also like a special effects artist and set designer and stuff for haunted houses. And funny enough, we were filming this commercial, and there was this old school hearse, and it had a license plate on it that said Deadsled. I'd never seen that before,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh man, that's really fucking cool sounding." So I took Deadsled, and then from there, the haunted house I was working for used to be a funeral company.
Ah.
So I just kind of put it together, and it sounded cool, looks good on shirts. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but so yeah, did that. And with that being said, working at haunted houses and stuff, I was always such a sucker for theatrical shows, like going see a band and getting more than just seeing performers with instruments on stage, because
Mhm.
like that's fine if that's what you like, but I don't know, I personally just like built something that a show that I'd want to go to,
Yeah.
and just added like all the elements of everything that I know how to do and what makes me happy to see. So I just kind of took it there, and then it's been building ever since.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've definitely noticed the aesthetic around it kind of matches really well with the name, and now that I didn't realize that you were an effects artist. So that all
Oh.
kind of makes so much sense, based on the imagery and the stage props that you have. Um, you had mentioned that a lot of the stuff is sort of what you'd like to see, and I'm sure that's similar with what you'd like to hear as far as writing goes. And as I had mentioned for everyone, Casket Tapes is the EP that was released yesterday, so on the 25th. If you haven't gotten it, check it out. I was fortunate enough for you to show me the demo of Moonlight Zeitgeist, like way back. And
Yeah.
as much as I really love that song, what I was really surprised about listening to the rest of the EP is how much those tracks all kind of vary from influences. So could you share about your influences writing this album?
Ooh, yeah. Well, it all goes back because these songs in particular are like a majority of them were written like a while back.
Yeah.
Whenever I first like, you know, even bought a guitar, you know, I picked up because I played bass for a while. I've sang my whole life, but you know, I wanted to get into songwriting more, so I picked up an old Fender Telecaster and just started learning because I didn't know fucking shit. I still really don't, but you know, just like it's mainly stuff at the time that I could come up with,
Mm-hmm.
and it just so happens like, you know, looking back, you don't really realize all the influences that show
Mm-hmm.
whenever you're writing, because it's just like, okay, yeah, this sounds cool, I wrote with this for now, whatever. But yeah, like, I mean, growing up, and I'm 23, so whenever I was growing up, it was My Chemical Romance. I was big at the time for alternative bands.
Mm-hmm.
Still one of my favorite bands, you know, to this day. So, you know, seeing bands like that, and mainly well, I'll stick to the music side and then get to the aesthetic side later because it's totally different. But it's just, you know, beautiful songwriting. And oh man, sorry, I lost my train of thought. It's just, it's mainly what I want to hear too, you know, because
Yeah.
I love, like, as much as, you know, I love heavy stuff and all of this, like one of my biggest, you know, inspirations are the Smiths.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love them growing up, and just the beautiful, you know, melodies and all of that. So trying to, you know, come up with shit like that and putting a little twist to it, a little spooky
Yeah,
twist.
sure. I mean, that makes sense because, you know, some of these songs, even you know, the the more punk sounding songs, you know, specifically Coven Covenstead,
Yes.
that one has like a faster punk part, but it doesn't lose the melody, you know, and the vocals are really on track for that part, you know. I mean, everything on here is very melodic. And it's
Thank you.
funny that you said the Smiths because I hear a lot of Alkaline Trio and
Dude,
some of the
yeah.
style are your vocals, and I feel like Alkaline Trio is basically the Smiths if they were like an alternate, like a whiny alternative punk band.
That's true. It's funny you bring up Alkaline Trio too, because, and like, you know, honestly, I, until like 2 years ago, I'd never really listened to Alkaline Trio.
Mm-hmm.
Never really, like, you know, dove into them. But my one of my best friends, because I showed him a bunch of demos, and he's like, "Wow, dude, sounds a lot like, you know, it has like that Alkaline Trio vibe." And I was like, "Really? I've never really listened to him." And then I listened to like, you know, All on Black on the Good Morning record, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I love this. Cool."
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's cool is that you had said that My Chem is still one of your favorite bands.
Hmm.
So, you know, I hear a lot of, I mean, I come from like a post-hardcore metalcore scene before I got
Right.
into like horror punk and stuff. And so I really appreciate that influence on this record. And what I think is cool is that you're not straying from that influence, given that you're promoting to the goth or horror punk um, communities. And I say that
Yeah.
because, I mean, I know, and while I don't think they mean any offense by it to it,
No,
you
not at
know,
all.
like some of the techno wave guys are like real elite when it comes to this stuff. You know, I mean, the goth scene itself is very elitist. So I think
Whew,
it's really cool
very.
and really refreshing that you guys just kind of wear that on your sleeve.
Yeah, thanks, man. Well, the
Yeah.
thing is, like, and I don't really try and cater to anything. I just make whatever I want to make. And then it's funny too, because at first I was like, okay, like whenever you, well, no one probably will ever hear, but like the old stuff that I used to write was very horror punk. And then I really came into like myself and my songwriting. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to roll with this.
Mhm.
And, you know, during our journey so far, people just put us in like, you know, boxes of like, you know, genres and stuff, which is
Sure.
totally cool. But that's just the way it is. So it's really funny too, like whenever people do come to see us and they only see like pictures of us, and they're like, they think we sound like fucking Bauhaus or something, you know,
Yeah.
like super goth. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, I love them, but this is who we are, man.
Right, right. Well, and I follow your bandmates on social media as well, and
Yeah.
all of them are in different uh, like doing different things. You know, one of them's like a death rock DJ, right? Like another one is
Yeah.
in a goth band. Wasn't Kyle in like a metalcore band for a while, or he
Yeah.
has his
Kyle
own
used to be in a metalcore
project?
band for a while. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's just I like that concept, you know, because I've well, you know, while I've been put into or chosen to play in bands that are in one specific genre, I like drawing in different influences because I don't just listen to one genre. You know, like
Same
being
here,
able to
bud.
mix them together is the fun. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's cool to see that you're doing that and not sort of like I said, not really going into the cliches of one particular sound. You know, you have some. I mean, like again, Moonlight Zeitgeist is a good example because that's totally like a boo-wop song,
Oh yeah.
right? But it also has sort of like a Bullets, My Chem Bullets era feel to it.
Oh,
You
all
know.
right.
So I mean that's at least my takeaway
No,
from
no, I love that. Bullets is my
yeah.
favorite record by them.
Yeah. I mean that's to be fair, that's kind of when they were there at their most horror punk. But
Yeah, they're
you
just
know,
raw. Love it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let me see. The next question that I had was more particular for the future. You know, I mean,
Mhm.
it sounds like you've been writing these songs for a while. Do you have any plans for another release in the near future? More T-shirts, more merch, anything like that?
Oh yeah, well, especially with this this quarantine, I've had so much fucking time. Like, luckily, whenever this hit, I just got like, flooded with inspiration to do
Yeah.
different stuff. So like me and the dudes have just been like doing this, that, or the other. And I have enough songs and I've still been writing stuff that I want to put together a full-length record for Deadsled. It's just, a matter of seeing how this EP goes and then taking it from there, finding, the right resources to really get that step up before doing anything else. So for now, we'll just we'll hold it out until like, quarantine's over, and then after that, start touring, hitting different places, really just, cutting our teeth on the road with that and then taking it from there.
Hell yeah. Are you planning on putting this out on a physical release?
Um I wasn't planning to really put this out. I don't really expect it to because, I mean, bands starting out, they really don't have that much money
Mhm.
to do so. But I mean, personally, I would love to make like fucking records, cassettes, like CDs, just because there's so much artwork that I've made
Yeah.
surrounding it that I want to put that all out there and have a physical copy just so you
Sure. I
could
mean,
hold it and
that's the
check it
fun
out.
part of it, you know. I mean, I don't think now with streaming services we have the opportunity to just listen to the music wherever, but it's fun to have the art piece, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, while I'm not the main art person in the Writhers, you know, Robert is, but that's the reason why we do it when we put out a like a 5-song EP because he wanted the physical copy with his art on it. You know, he wanted to be able to draw the
Yeah.
whole thing, the insides, the outsides, all that. So
Yeah, dude, it's fucking cool.
that's like the best part.
Yeah, exactly. That's exciting to me. Like, going through like listening to bands for a while and then getting like, a vinyl press of one of their, records.
Mhm.
And then you open it up and it's like, dude, there's all this really cool artwork that I've never seen before online. So that's what I love. I'm a sucker for that too. So I want other people to have that opportunity to do that with my project at
Hell
least.
yeah. Um, so going back to shows for a second, yeah, I know you guys were slated to play with Blitzkid when they play in New Orleans.
Mhm.
And I've seen some of the videos. I think you guys are playing like House of Blues areas. Is that true? Am I off the mark in where you've played before?
Oh, so yeah, in New Orleans,
Yeah.
we play House of Blues every now and then, but our main like our home venue is the Goat,
Okay,
which
okay.
is
So that's
on
and that's where
St.
you're playing with Blitzkid, right?
That's where we were going to play. Right
Mhm.
now, it's still up in the air of
Okay,
what venue it's going to be, but we are still playing with them.
cool.
If nothing else gets fucking canceled.
Sure, sure. I was
Yeah.
curious, typically, what does your crowd look like? I mean, I know, again, like I said, your sound kind of mixes in a bunch of different stuff. So I
Yeah.
wonder what kind of people are actually going and enjoying it.
It's rather interesting, our crowds, because like of all the influences that we bring in, like in our music and stuff, we have a lot of the older cats, we have a lot of the younger cats, because we mainly play bars. So
Hmm.
like they have a bunch of people that would like to see us if we ever were to play an all ages venue, but in New Orleans it's hard to come across one of those,
Okay.
you know but it's a good mixture of like there's diversity for sure, which I really love.
Yeah, I think
It's
that's the
fun,
best part, like being able to see who shows up and who's into it,
right? Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so I mean, I guess at the same time too, it's cool to have anyone there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's not like that's an easy thing in itself. Um,
No.
so my next set of questions is just for you particularly, rather than as a whole.
Let's do
All right,
it.
favorite horror movie.
Ah, fuck. Santa Sangre.
Which one?
Santa Sangre?
Okay. Um, Nosferatu, Dracula.
I'm gonna go Dracula. Wait, which Dracula?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, you decide which one and why.
Oh man.
I mean, you
Shit.
clearly chose
I'm put on the spot with
Dracula.
that.
So.
Yeah, I did. Well, I mean, I chose Dracula, yeah, as the Dracula character and how he's portrayed because although like, Nosferatu, which I do love, he's just one of those creatures that's so like misunderstood and awkward and all of that and kind of a hermit. But I feel like the Dracula character kind of brings that that suaveness to it, and he's kind of
Sure.
slick, which I dig. I like
Okay.
his slickness.
That makes sense. I think. I mean, after that, most vampires became real suave. After
Yeah,
Dracula.
exactly.
So okay.
Yeah.
Um, I had another one. So this one might be easy because I feel like I already know the answer.
All right.
I was gonna say slashers or classic horror, but I feel like I take you as more of a classic horror fan.
For sure. The thing is, for the longest time, I really, really disliked slashers.
Hmm.
Only because there was no like I'm a sucker for storylines and I like more of like the psychological horror stuff,
Okay.
you know. But ever since like starting out my career with doing special effects stuff, I can appreciate slashers for the great effects and all that.
Mhm.
They're nice to watch like if I'm crafting at my table and putting on a slasher film, that's great. But if I'm actually sitting down, you know,
Sure. You want
I
the
want to get in the
story, and most
mind.
slashers aren't known for their story.
Yeah, they're bad motherfuckers. I do like them,
Yeah.
but if I
Well,
had to
cool.
choose,
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like for me, like, I mean, it's funny because I binged like most of the Friday the 13th recently, and
yeah,
you get to a certain point where some of them have stories, the other ones don't, and it's like, by the time Jason ended up in New York, you're like, what the fuck is happening
yeah,
here?
exactly.
So
Right,
I can totally understand that.
right. Fucking A. I'll still watch them. I love
Oh
them,
yeah, of
but
course. I mean, it's still fun to watch, but it's like, why?
yeah, exactly. Like, all right, interesting.
Hell yeah. Well, do you want to plug your pages?
Yeah, well, so right now our full length, well, our full EP
Mhm.
is available for purchase on Bandcamp, which is deadsledfuneralco.bandcamp.com. We're on Instagram and Facebook as Deadsled Funeral Co. And that's really about it for right now. I should really work because I'm terrible at social media. I run all the social media pages. Do everything, and I'm fucking terrible at it. But it's something that I'm learning to do during this quarantine.
Yeah,
You know,
totally. It's a work in progress.
it really is.
You got to get up on it's funny, I sent out the EP to a few people, and I was
Mhm.
like, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'll check this out on Apple Music or Spotify or whatever." I'm like, "Nope, it's on Bandcamp. That's where you can find it." So,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm
you
gonna look
know,
into getting on Spotify soon. I don't know how because like I'm not like tech savvy at
sure,
all.
sure.
Like,
I will send
but
you some links because I've had to figure
ooh.
that out on my own. You just have to find the right spot so that's worth it money wise.
Yeah, totally. That's the thing with it all too, and it's kind of difficult too, and it's scary whenever you're a band that releases music and doesn't have it really established or on a label because other people could steal that shit
That's
like
true. Yeah.
easily.
Good point. So I was just reminded of one last question that I forgot to
Ooh,
ask.
what you got?
Okay, Covenstead. There's
Mhm.
screaming in it. Why is that not
Ooh.
anywhere else?
Oh well. That is a good question. So if you do see us live, we play more than just what's on the EP. We have like a whole set, and there are a few times where I do scream, like in songs and stuff. Because I used to be a vocalist in a deathcore band before, like right before creating Deadsled.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of learned how to scream through that. And you know, it's just performing the songs live too. Like I never really intended to have any screaming in any of the songs, but whenever you're playing live and you get excited and you're like, all right, you know, we'll see how this goes, and it stuck well. So Covenstead's obviously the one that you could hear that on the EP, and once we do a full length, there are some other songs where it'll be sprinkled in there every now and then, but yeah, just add another element to it.
Hell yeah.
You know,
I mean, like I said, that's totally where my roots are. So I appreciate when they're brought in and done tastefully. You know, like while I do enjoy bands that scream a lot, you know, it's cool to be like, oh, I didn't expect that. That was cool, you know, like
right, yeah. I'm surprised with that. Yeah, because the thing too, like whenever I've learned, and this is not knocking anyone by saying this, but this is just like my experience with songwriting and stuff. It's super easy to have like a riff or something and just take lyrics and then scream over it because you don't have to think about a melody. It'll sound good, you know, either way. So I've always, like, ever since, you know, doing the Deadsled stuff, I've really pushed myself to, instead of taking that easy way out, learn all the melodies and scream tastefully.
Yeah, totally. And see, that's the cool part. It definitely shows. So I mean, I'm a big fan of this. This was one of my anticipated releases for the year. So I'm definitely stoked to hear more stuff, and I appreciate you coming on and chatting with me.
Yeah, dude, any fucking time.
Hell yeah.
For sure.
Well, all right, guys. This is Boneghazi. I am Rikk Retreat. You have been watching
you're this way.
The Pumpkin Patch. I know we're in. There's you.
Well, you're really this way, but I'm gonna guess that you're this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Sinking slowly in her wake, never hesitates to embrace regrets forged by repressed memories of the wreckage that's her past. Forest trails will erase. The forest fire warms up cold bones as this hunger grows inside of me. I'll line the sheets to her death.